Hello students. Yesterday I had explained you the classification of primary activities, chapter 5 of the book Human Geography. Now in today's class, we'll finish all studying about all the primary activities in detail, and by the end of the chapter you will know the classification of primary activities and you will know the features, differences between every primary activity. So let's get started. So chapter's name again you can see on the screen, it's primary activity. People who are engaged in primary activity, they are directly working outdoors, dependent on the environment. That is why they are also called the red collar workers. Now primary activity is one of the economic activity. Economic activity, understand, economic activities are those human activities which generate income. They can be secondary, tertiary. In this chapter we are only covering primary activities. Primary activities directly depend on environment. Example of primary activity, environment related, you can guess: hunting, gathering, mining. Hunting and gathering, they are the oldest primary economic activities. They are the oldest ones. They have been there since ancient times. Now hunting, you can see in the picture, it's very clear that now I'll tell you about hunting. Humans dependent on their immediate environment and they immediate environment, hunting animals, gathering edible plants. People who lived in cold and extreme type of climate. Extreme means not very hot, not very cold. That means extreme, means not moderate. So people who lived in extreme type of climate, they survived mainly on hunting. People in the coastal areas still catch fish for survival. We have example of Porbandar. Gujarat has the longest coastline, so we have a lot of fishing industry here in Gujarat. The early hunters used primitive tools. They didn't have advanced tools. So hunting has been, like I just told you, hunting and gathering is the oldest economic primary economic activity. So they used to use in the olden times primitive tools made of stones, wood to kill animals. The next, see the picture. What are these ladies doing? They are collecting or gathering something. So they are gathering fruit. So the next primary economic activity is gathering. So whatever is edible, edible means what is suitable for eating. The humans, they gathered them, collected them, and kept them for their survival. This is practiced in the areas again of harsh climate. Harsh, I just told you, not very favorable, friendly. So harsh climate or extreme climate, we use these terms for those areas where the climate is not very pleasant. Gathering does not require a very heavy capital. Capital means does not require a lot of money, because what you just need? You just need to gather stuff. No technology is required for this type of economic activity. Yield per person is very low. Yield means per person, whatever the person is getting is very low. The returns which the person is getting is very low. That means the yield per person is very low. Yield means produce. It's practiced in high latitude areas like Eurasia, southern Chile, Canada. Low latitude zones also like Amazon, tropical Africa. Now high latitude, low latitude, equator is 0 degree. We all know this. So equator is a low latitude. Low latitude, okay. 90 degree north south is high latitude. Now it's clear, high and low. So this in high latitude areas, it's practice gathering in Eurasia, Chile, Canada. Low latitude, Amazon basin, tropical Africa, parts of Southeast Asian countries, and northern fringe or the northern part of Australia. Excuse me. In modern times, gathering is a market-oriented activity and has become commercial. So in the today's times, excuse me. So in modern time, gathering is one of market, or it has become market oriented. It has become commercial now. Now people are gathering stuff so that they can sell. They can sell the gathered goods, nuts, plants, medicinal plants, and get some money in return. See in this world map, areas of subsistence gathering are shown, and mainly subsistence gathering is done in high latitude areas. You can see in North America, it's done in northern Canada, then in the Amazon basin in South America. Going towards the eastern side, it's done in Eurasia, tropical Africa, and fringes of Australia. You can be asked to mark areas of subsistence farming on the world map in the exam also. So you have to remember the world map. The next economic activity is pastoralism. Pastoralism is another branch of agriculture which is concerned mainly with the raising of livestock. Livestock means animals. It's of two types. It's a primary subsistence activity. Herders depend on animals for food, transport, shelter, and clothing. Herder means those people who are keeping animals. They are called herders because they keep herds of animals. So herders depend on animals for food, for their transport, for shelter, and for clothing. Herders keep on moving from one place to another along with their animals in search of pastures and water. So the ones who are keeping animals, they're called herders. They're keeping herds of animals, so they don't stay at one place, of course, because they have to keep moving in search of new pastures, new grazing grounds. Each nomadic community occupies a well-defined territory. Now a herdsman in the Himalayas will not go down to Kerala or to Karnataka with his herd. Of course, they have a definite territory, definite area where only within that area they keep moving. Variety of animals are kept in different regions. Now in the Himalayan areas, of course, you cannot keep a camel there, or you cannot keep a yak in the desert areas as your domestic animals. So in different areas, different animals are kept. In tropical area, cattle is the main animal which is domesticated. In Sahara and Asiatic desert, it's the sheep, goat, and camel. In mountainous areas of Tibet, the cold areas, it's the yak. Excuse me. In the Andes is a mountain range. There, in the South America, there llamas are kept. In Arctic region, reindeers. The three important regions of nomadic herding in the world are the core region. The main areas are extending from the Atlantic shores of North Africa throughout the Arabian Peninsula till central China. So it is extending from Africa till central China, the main area of this primitive activity. Second area is the tundra region of Eurasia. And third is Southwest Africa and the Madagascar island. This is all about nomadic herding. See, I told you the herders keep moving. That is why the name nomadic herding is given to them, because nomads are those people who move from one place to another. In the world map again you can see the areas of nomadic herding. The core areas, again I am repeating, it's from the central parts of Africa till China, and different animals are kept at different regions. These are areas of nomadic herding. Next is transhumance. This is a term. It means seasonal movement of people along with their herds, people, or you can say herders, along with their herds to mountains in summers and back to plain in winters. Now why would they move into the mountains in summers? Because in summers the snow would melt and they can go to the higher reaches of the mountain. But in winters they have to come down. Same happens even in India. There are Gujjars or the Bakarwals. They do the same with their goat. In the summers, they will go up the Himalayas, and in winters, they'll come down to the lower slopes of the Himalayas. Other tribes of India are Gaddis and Bhotias who are practicing transhumance. The number of pastoral nomads has been decreasing. Now this economic activity is decreasing in number. The herdsmen are decreasing in number because of political boundaries. Now earlier they were not so rigid. Now because of political disturbance, because of new settlement plans of the government, this economic activity is adversely affected. Next primary activity is commercial livestock rearing. Earlier I just explained you nomadic herding. The second pastoralism activity is commercial livestock rearing. Now this commercial, it's clear from the name that it's mainly for earning money. This practice is associated with Western culture and is more organized and capital intensive. More organized means more organized. Like it's not like nomadic herding that you move from any place to any place or nothing is decided, but here it is more organized, capital intensive. It is practiced in vast permanent ranches that covers a large area and is further divided into a number of parcels. So this is capital intensive. Nomadic herding was not capital intensive. Animals are moved from one parcel to another. Parcel means an area within a ranch. The ranch is that area, particular area where the animals are kept. Ranch is further divided into parcels. So when one parcel's grass gets over, they are moved to another parcel. So like that, rotation is done so that the grass is available throughout. Only one type of animal is reared, which may include sheep, cattle, goat and horses. Not mixed. Like suppose I am owning a ranch, so I will not keep all the animals. I'll just keep one animal. Products such as meat, wool, hides, skin are packed scientifically and are exported to the world market. Importance is given to breeding. They lay a lot of emphasis on breeding, genetic improvement, disease control and health care of animals. This is mainly practiced in the countries like New Zealand, Australia, Argentina, Uruguay of South America and USA of North America. This is again showing the map of areas of commercial livestock rearing. You can see in North America it's the US, in South America it's Argentina, Uruguay, in Asia, parts of Eurasia, parts of Africa, New Zealand and Australia. The next primary economic activity is agriculture. Now, agriculture also has many subtypes. First is subsistence agriculture. Subsistence agriculture, it is also subdivided into primitive subsistence agriculture and intensive subsistence agriculture. So subsistence agriculture itself means that it is not done for commercial purpose, it is done for family consumption. Now this further classified into primitive subsistence agriculture. It's mainly run by the tribes of Africa, South and Central US and Southeast Asia. It's also called shifting cultivation. This type of agriculture is also called shifting cultivation or called slash and burn. Now let me explain you shifting cultivation. Shifting cultivation is these tribes, they clear one patch of land by burning it and then they move to the another patch after the previous patch of land loses its fertility. That is why this practice is called shifting cultivation. But in this process or in this practice, a lot of forest area is damaged. That is why it is not considered a good practice. After 3-5 years, when the soil loses its fertility, the farmer or the tribe who is practicing this shifts to another patch of land and repeats the same process. And this shifting cultivation is known by different names in the world. Like it's called jhooming in India. It's done in the northeastern part of India. It's called milpa in South America and Mexico, and ladang in Malaysia and Indonesia. In the map, areas of subsistence agriculture are It's called milpa in Central America, Chitamene or tawi in Africa, Jhuming in Northeast India, and Ladang in Indonesia. Intensive subsistence agriculture. This is the next subtype of subsistence agriculture. This is mainly done in areas which are densely populated of Asia. There are two, again this is further classified into two types, that is intensive subsistence dominated by wet paddy and intensive subsistence dominated by other crops other than paddy. Paddy is rice. So you should know this. All the classifications are very important. These words you will remember once you read the chapter, understand the chapter one or two times. The next map is showing the areas where intensive subsistence farming is done. This is mainly done in the densely populated areas of monsoon Asia. See here in the map, it's China, India, Malaysia, parts of Indonesia. Now, intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by other crops. It's done in Southeast Asia where rainfall is little. Crops grown here are wheat, barley, soybean, sorghum, China, North Korea, North Japan. In India, wheat is mainly grown in the Ganga plain, millets are grown, irrigation is used. Intensive subsistence agriculture dominated by wet paddy cultivation. Here the main crop is rice. Paddy means rice. Land holdings are very small, means the fields where the crop is grown is very small. Family labor is used. They don't outsource anyone for at the time of sowing, reaping. Whatever the family members are there, how many ever, they are only engaged in this. There is very less use of machinery. Work is almost done by manual labor. Yield per unit area is high, but per labor productivity is low. Per unit area high means according to the land production is more, but if you see it according to the people per people, then it is very low. The next primary activity is agriculture only. The another type of agriculture, this is plantation. You can see in the picture here, it's the picture of a tea plantation. A note on plantation is often asked in the exams. Now, plantation agriculture, it was introduced by Europeans in their colonies. So, India was also a part of the British colonies. So, it was introduced in India by the Britishers. Important crops which are grown as plantation crops are tea, coffee, cocoa, rubber, cotton, oil palm, sugarcane, banana and pineapples. Only one type of crop is grown on large areas scientifically. So in plantation crop, there is monoculture, means only one crop is grown. Cheap labor is needed, of course. Otherwise, it will not be beneficial, not be economical. Good system of transport is necessary to link estates with factories and markets, so that the transportation, the raw material is easily done. The French established cocoa and coffee plantation in South Africa, in West Africa. British set up tea gardens in India, Sri Lanka, rubber plantations in Malaysia, banana in West Indies. So these are all the colonies of the British where they set up these plantations for their benefit, of course. Spanish and Americans introduced cocoa and sugarcane in Philippines. Dutch started sugar plantation in Indonesia. Coffee fazendas, fazenda means large coffee farms, are managed by Europeans in Brazil. The next type of agriculture is extensive commercial grain cultivation. Now, extensive means on a large scale, commercial is for profit mainly, grain is wheat, which is mainly they are cultivating in this type of agriculture. Extensive commercial grain cultivation. Practiced in semi-arid land of mid-latitudes, wheat is the main crop grown. Other crops are corn, barley, oats, rye. Large inland holdings, machines are used. Low yield per acre but high yield per person. So per acre, if you see, yield is low and high yield per person. Practiced in Canada and American prairies. Pampas of Argentina, Wells of South America. You'll be wondering now, what is this prairies, Pampas, Wells, Downs of Australia, Canterbury? These are the temperate grasslands. So wheat is a kind of a grass. So it grows well in these temperate grassland regions of the world. Areas of extensive commercial grain farming are, you can see in North America it's the prairies, South America the Pampas, Eurasian the steppes, Australian Downs, and Canterbury Plains in New Zealand. The next type of agriculture is mixed farming. Mixed. Now before seeing anything or before me telling you anything, can you think of what is mixed farming? I'm sure many of you can think like that. So mixed farming is when you are doing animal husbandry also and cultivating crops at the same time. It's found in highly developed parts of the world. Highly developed parts of the world are Northwest Europe, Northeast America, and parts of Eurasia. All these are developed parts of the world. So here mixed farming is practiced. Farms are moderate in size. Moderate means not very large, not very small. Crop rotation and intercropping is done so that soil fertility is maintained. Equal emphasis, mixed farming definitions, equal emphasis on crop cultivation and animal husbandry. High capital intensive. Mixed farming needs a lot of capital because chemicals are used, machinery is used. Next type of agriculture is dairy farming. It's done in advanced and efficient types of it's done in advanced countries. It's the most advanced type of agriculture, highly capital and labor intensive. Capital and labor intensive means it needs a lot of money, it needs a lot of labor. Labor means people to work in it. Animal sheds, storage facilities are required. Animal shed is required. Milking machines to take out milk. Special emphasis is laid on cattle breeding, high health care, veterinary services. There is no off season because throughout the year milk is taken out. Practice mainly near urban areas. Why near urban areas? Yes, because milk or dairy products are consumed by the urban people every day. So it is of course located near the market where it can be sold. Well developed transportation is very important. Refrigeration facility, pasteurization. It's practiced in North, West Europe, Canada, New Zealand and Tasmania. I'll show you on the map also. Have a look here. It's done in Canada, Northwest Europe, Southeast Australia. Can you see the picture? What is grown there? Yes, grapes. So this is the next type of agriculture, that is the Mediterranean agriculture. Mediterranean agriculture is practiced in the countries around the Mediterranean Sea. Mediterranean Sea is a sea in the north of Africa and in the south of Europe. So the area around that practices Mediterranean agriculture, and also southern Chile of South America, California has this type of climate and their Mediterranean agriculture is done. Viticulture is the specialized agriculture in this region. Best quality wines are produced here. Low quality grapes are used for raisins and for making currants. Dry fruits, that is other crops grown here are olives, figs, all the citrus fruits, that is olives, figs, fresh fruits and vegetables are grown in winter. The next type of agriculture is market gardening and horticulture. Market gardening means this type of agriculture is practiced in cultivation of vegetables, fruits, flowers, mainly used for urban market. So of course this will also be near the urban areas. Small farms are there located near urban areas. Good transportation again, like the dairy farming was there. It's labor and capital intensive. Importance is given to use of irrigation, HYV seeds, fertilizers. Practice in Northwest Europe, Northeast US, Mediterranean regions. Netherlands is famous for the growing of tulip flower cultivation. The region where farmers specialize in vegetables only is called truck farming. Factory farming practiced in Western Europe and North America. It consists of poultry farming and livestock rearing. Heavy capital investments, a lot of money required, veterinary services are required, heating and lighting is provided, breed selection is done, scientific breeding is done. Now, farming categorized according to the organization. The next type of agriculture is cooperative farming. Now, cooperative farming, as it's clear from the word, a group of farmers, they cooperate and they have an understanding between them, so they pool in their resources. Pool in their resources means they put their resources together for a more efficient and more profitable farming. Cooperative societies help farmers in purchasing agricultural inputs and sell the products, and also help in processing products at a cheaper rate. This is mainly practiced in Denmark, Netherlands, Belgium, Sweden and Italy. Next is collective farming. This was called kolkhoz in the Soviet Union, that is Russia. The basic principle of this farming is it's based on social ownership. So the main key word here is social ownership, and the cooperative farming main thing was that farmers are pooling in their resources. This main word is social ownership. In this system of farming, farmers pool their resources like land and livestock. It was first time introduced in Soviet. See, cooperative was there in Denmark. You have to remember all the countries wherever these type of agricultures are done. So the previous one was Denmark, Belgium. This is in Russia. It's called kolkhoz in erstwhile Soviet Union. Members are paid according to the nature of the work allocated to them by the farm management. The last primary economic activity is mining. Mining refers to the extraction of minerals and resources from the earth. Factors affecting mining are the physical factors like size, grade, mode of occurrence. Economic factors like mineral, technology. This decides the mining activity. The mines can be of two types: shaft mining and open cast mining. Now, open cast mining or the surface mining is easy, cheap, as the mineral is available near the surface. See the diagram here. This vertical column going down, that is shaft mining, and the open cast mining is given on the right hand side, that is open pit mine. Shaft mining, when minerals lie deep below the surface. In this method, minerals are extracted and sent to the surface through passages known as shaft. So those vertical tunnel like thing shown in the diagram is called shaft. It requires specialized drill, lift, haulage vehicles, ventilation system. Ventilation, why? Because people are going down deep down the surface to get the minerals. This method is risky, of course. Poisonous gases are there, that's why it's risky. Fire can be there, floods. It requires a lot of investment. So that's it.